Nobody knew the night nurse was Army Ranger until armed gunmen stormed the hospital ward. No one noticed the quiet nurse when the gunman stepped onto the ward. No one saw the way her breathing slowed. No one knew the war she carried under her scrubs. By dawn, the hospital would never forget her name. The night ward of Mercy Hollow Hospital lived in a different world than the day floors. The lights were dimmer, the halls longer, the sounds softer but sharper. Every footstep echoed like it mattered. Every beep felt louder than it should. Outside, winter pressed against the windows, turning the city into a blur of cold rain and yellow streetlights. It was 2:11 a.m., the kind of hour where grief stayed awake and hope slept lightly. At the nurse's station sat a woman most people barely noticed. Her name was Lena Ward **, 36 years old, brown hair pulled tight into a practical knot. No makeup, no jewelry. Her scrubs were always clean but never new. She moved carefully, like someone who didn't want to disturb the air around her. To the staff, Lena was forgettable. She didn't gossip, didn't flirt, didn't complain. She didn't scroll her phone or laugh too loud. She showed up early, left on time, and never asked for favors. Does she even talk? Whispered Meyer **, a young nurse on her second week, sipping cold coffee. As long as she charts right, I don't care, replied Dr. Nolan Price **, eyes glued to his tablet. Night nurses aren't paid to be interesting. Lena heard it. She always did. She didn't react. She checked vitals in room 317, adjusted an IV in 320, pulled a blanket higher over an old man shivering in his sleep. Her touch was gentle, precise, almost practiced, too practiced. When a tray clattered in the distance, Maya jumped. Lena didn't. Her eyes lifted. Her posture shifted just slightly. Weight forward, ears tuned. Then nothing. She relaxed again. On her wrist was an old black digital watch. No smart screen, no notifications, just numbers. 2:14, she wrote her notes calmly. Patient stable. Pain managed, no complications. Lena wasn't tired, she was alert. Because long ago, in another life, nights like this were when things went wrong. People thought Lena Ward was weak because she avoided eye contact. They thought she was shy because she spoke softly. They thought she was fragile because she walked like she carried something heavy on her back. They didn't see what lived beneath the surface. They didn't see the scars hidden under her sleeves, thin white lines crossing her ribs, a jagged mark near her shoulder blade, old wounds, cleanly healed, carefully forgot. They didn't know why loud noises didn't startle her, only focused her. They didn't know why she always chose the chair facing the exits, or why she counted footsteps without realizing she was doing it. Lena didn't correct them. She had learned long ago that invisibility could be a shield. At 2:27 a.m., she stepped into the supply room to restock gauze. The hum of fluorescent lights filled the space. The smell of disinfectant was sharp. Her hands moved automatically. Gauze, saline, trauma shears. She paused. A sound cut through the quiet. Metal, sliding, locking. Not hospital metal, not a cart, not an elevator. Her spine straightened. She didn't breathe. The sound came again, heavier this time. Someone was loading a weapon. Lena closed her eyes for half a second. When she opened them, something old woke up inside her. She moved to the door, cracking it open just enough to see the hall. The elevator doors slid apart. A man stepped out. He was tall, broad, wrapped in a dark coat soaked from rain. A duffel bag hung from his shoulder, heavy enough to pull it down. In his hands was a rifle, not cheap, not sloppy, purpose-built. Her heart rate rose, but her mind stayed calm. The man walked with certainty, like he'd already decided how the night would end. He didn't look scared. That frightened her more than anything. As he headed toward the nurse's station, Lena stepped back into the shadows. She checked her pockets. No phone, no weapon, just scrubs and instinct, and a truth no one else knew. The first scream came after the first gunshot. The rifle barked once into the ceiling, and the sound shattered the ward like glass. Dust rained down. Alarms screamed to life. Someone cried out. "Everyone down!" the man shouted. His voice filled the hallway, heavy and controlled. "Now!" Nurses froze, patients stirred, confused and terrified. Dr. Price dropped his tablet. It shattered on the floor. The gunman kicked a door wedge into place, sealing the ward. He moved fast, efficient, like he'd practiced this moment 1,000 times. "You!" he pointed the rifle at Maya. "Hands where I can see them." She sobbed as she raised them. "Phone's on the floor," he said. "Slow." They obeyed. The gunman's eyes scanned the room, sharp and focused. He wasn't panicking, he was hunting. "I'm not here to kill everyone," he said calmly, "but I will if I have to." He turned toward Dr. Price. "You remember a woman named Rachel Moore The doctor swallowed hard. I see many patients." "Wrong answer." The gunman stepped closer. "You operated on her 2 years ago, routine surgery. She never woke up." "Silence, you were drunk," the man said. His voice cracked just enough to let the pain show. "And the hospital buried it." Dr. Price trembled. "I didn't." "Shut up." The rifle lifted. Lena watched from behind a corner. She measured distances, angles, cover. She saw fear everywhere, but she also saw opportunity. The man thought he controlled the room. He didn't know someone else was already planning how to end it. Lena stepped forward. She let her shoulders slump. Her hands shook just enough. I can help," she said softly. The gunman snapped his rifle toward her. "Who are you?" "I'm just a nurse," she whispered. "Please don't shoot." He studied her, saw the plain face, the quiet posture, the fear she showed him. He saw someone harmless. "Good," he said. "You'll do what I say." He tossed zip ties at her feet. "Bind their hands." Her fingers trembled as she picked them up. Inside, she was steady. She moved behind Dr. Price, looping the tie carefully, loose enough to slip, tight enough to look real. She leaned close to his ear. "When the lights go out," she murmured, voice suddenly clear and firm, "get on the floor and don't move." His breath caught. She moved to Maya next. "You're going to be okay," Lena whispered, squeezing her hands once. Strong, certain. The gunman watched, satisfied. He turned away. That was his mistake, because Lena Ward wasn't just a nurse. She was a former Army Ranger and the night had just chosen its survivor. Lena walked down the hallway like a frightened woman doing what she was told. Her steps were small, uneven, her shoulders rounded inward, but inside her head everything was sharp. She counted doors, counted lights, counted seconds. Room 312, 314, 316. She heard the gunman behind her, his boots heavy against the tile. He stayed 10 feet back, rifle angled low but ready. He trusted distance. He trusted fear. Fear was a language Lena had learned to fake very well. She entered the first patient room. An elderly man lay half awake, eyes wide with confusion. His heart monitor beeped faster as he saw the rifle through the doorway. "It's okay," Lena whispered, resting a hand on his arm. "Just breathe." She adjusted his blanket and subtly slid the metal bed tray closer to the edge. She stepped back into the hall. The gunman nodded. Next, she moved again. Every room gave her something. A pair of scissors, a loose oxygen tank, a rolling IV stand with a bent wheel. Tools weren't weapons. Weapons were anything you decided to use. As she walked, memories pressed in, not loud, not painful, just present, dust in her mouth. Night vision green, a heartbeat steady while everything else screamed. She pushed it down. Stay here, stay now. At the end of the hall, she paused longer than necessary. "Move," the gunman barked. "Sorry," she said quickly, shrinking. "My leg, it cramps when I'm nervous." He scoffed, weak, slow, useless. That's what he saw. What he didn't see was her scanning the ceiling. Sprinkler system, fire alarm, emergency power switch near the nurse's station. Too far, not yet. She needed him closer. She needed chaos. As she turned back, her eyes met Maya's across the ward. Maya was crying silently, chest shaking. Lena gave her a small nod, just one. Maya didn't know why, but it grounded her, like a rope thrown in deep water. The gunman checked his watch. "Police will be outside by now," he muttered. "Good, they'll hear everything." He raised his voice. "This hospital lied. Tonight the truth walks out." Lena stopped near the supply cart. Her hand brushed the trauma shears. Cold metal. Her pulse didn't change, not yet. While the gunman ranted, Lena's mind slipped just for a breath into the past, not the war, before it. She remembered being 17, standing in a grocery store aisle, counting change, wondering if it would be enough for milk and bread. Her mother had been gone 2 years by then. Cancer, fast and cruel. The army recruiter had looked at her like she mattered, like she could become something stronger than grief. Training had broken her down, then rebuilt her cleaner, sharper. She learned how to move quietly, how to watch hands, how to read silence. She learned how to survive. After her final deployment, she came home with medals she never displayed and memories she never shared. She chose nursing because it was the opposite of taking life, because healing felt like penance, because hospitals needed calm people in the dark. The gunman's voice snapped her back. "You!" He pointed at her. "Why are you so quiet?" She flinched on purpose. "I don't like guns," she said softly. He laughed. "Neither did my wife." The laughter died fast. "She trusted doctors," he continued. "Trusted systems. Look where that got her." His pain was real. That made him more dangerous. Lena nodded, eyes down. "I'm sorry," she said, and she meant it. But sorrow wouldn't stop him. Action would. The lights flickered, just once. She felt it in her bones. Backup generators shifting load. A window, her breathing slowed. Her body remembered what to do before her mind caught up. She stepped closer to the desk. "Do you want water?" she asked him. "You're shaking." He looked down at his hands. They were. Anger burned energy fast. "Get it," he said. He turned his head just enough. Lena moved. The power dropped. Not all of it, just enough. The overhead lights died, replaced by red emergency strips along the floor. Alarms began to chirp in confused rhythms. Shouts echoed from the stairwell below. "Police!" The gunman swore, swinging the rifle around. "What did you do?" he yelled. Lena dropped to the floor. So did Dr. Price. So did Maya. The gunman hesitated. That hesitation cost him. Lena sprang upward. Her movement was fast, not wild. Clean. She grabbed the rolling IV stand and drove it forward with her full weight. Metal slammed into the rifle barrel, knocking it aside as the shot fired harmlessly into the ceiling. She closed the distance. Her elbow struck his throat. Hard, precise. He staggered back, gasping. She took him down with a sweep of his legs, sending his massive body crashing onto the tile. The rifle skidded away. The ward exploded into screams. Lena didn't hear them. She heard breath. She heard balance. She heard danger. The gunman reached for his sidearm. She stomped his wrist. The gun clattered away. He roared, swinging blindly. She absorbed the hit, pain flaring, then locked his arm and twisted. Something popped. He screamed. She pinned him, knee between his shoulder blades. "Don't move," she said. Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Security flooded in seconds later. Then police. Then shouting. Hands grabbed her shoulders, pulling her back. She didn't resist. She stood, chest heaving, hair loose, scrubs torn. Blood, not hers, spotted the floor. The gunman sobbed now. Not rage, just loss. Lena watched him and felt nothing. The ward was chaos, but the danger was over. Patients were checked. Nurses hugged. Someone prayed out loud. Lena sat alone on a bench near the wall. Her hands finally shook. Dr. Price approached slowly, like he wasn't sure she was real. "You saved us," he said. She nodded once. The police captain knelt in front of her. "Ma'am," he said gently, "where did you learn to do that?" She hesitated, then answered. "Before I was a nurse," she said. "I learned how to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. That was all." The sun began to rise through the windows, pale and quiet. Maya came over and hugged her hard. "You're not invisible," she whispered. Lena closed her eyes. For the first time in years, she believed it. Morning came softly, like it didn't want to disturb what had happened. Sunlight crept through the tall windows of Mercy Hollow Hospital, touching the walls with a pale gold that felt undeserved. The night shift ended not with relief, but with silence. A heavy, thoughtful silence. Lena sat in a small interview room near the security office. A paper cup of coffee rested between her hands. She hadn't touched it. Her fingers were steady again, but her shoulders ached in places she hadn't used in years. Across from her sat a detective with tired eyes and a gentle voice. "You could have killed him," he said quietly. Lena looked down at the table. "But you didn't." She nodded. "That wasn't the mission," she replied. The detective paused, then set his pen down. "Most people freeze," he said. "You didn't." Lena didn't answer, because freezing had never been an option for her. Outside the room, the hospital buzzed with whispers. Phones vibrated. Messages spread faster than truth ever did. A nurse stopped a gunman. A staff member took him down barehanded. Was she military? Was she police? No one knew her name yet. Maya sat in the break room, wrapped in a blanket someone had found. Her hands still shook as she replayed the moment over and over. She wasn't crying anymore. She was thinking. Dr. Price stood alone in his office, staring at his reflection in the glass. The gunman's words echoed louder than the gunshot. "You were drunk." For the first time in years, he didn't reach for an excuse. At 8:17 a.m., a hospital administrator knocked on the interview room door. "There are reporters outside," she said nervously. "They're asking about you." Lena closed her eyes. I don't want to talk, she said. The administrator hesitated. They're calling you a hero. Lena opened her eyes. She didn't feel like one. Heroes were clean in stories. This had been messy, real, and it wasn't over yet. By noon, the story had a headline. Night nurse subdues armed gunman, saves hospital ward. Lena watched it scroll across a television mounted high on the wall. The footage showed police cars, flashing lights, blurred faces. A face wasn't shown. Yet, a lieutenant from the army arrived just after lunch. He was polite, formal, his uniform crisp. Staff Sergeant Lena Ward, he said, offering his hand. Retired. She shook it. Please don't say that too loudly, she replied. He smiled softly. You were always quiet, he said. That didn't change. They spoke privately. He thanked her. Not for stopping the gunman, but for restraint. You remembered who you are, he said. She shook her head. I remembered who I'm not anymore. Later, a nurse she barely knew approached her. My dad served, the woman said. He never talked about it either. Lena nodded. I hope he's okay, she replied. The nurse smiled sadly. Some days, Maya sat beside Lena during lunch, not saying much, just being there. You didn't hesitate, Maya finally said. Not even a second. Lena looked at her. I hesitated for years, she said quietly. Last night was just the moment I stopped. That afternoon, Dr. Price requested a meeting with hospital leadership. By evening, his resignation was submitted. No speeches, no drama, just a man facing something he had avoided. Lena heard about it in passing. She felt no satisfaction, only a quiet sense of balance. Truth had finally arrived. Fame is loud, even when you don't invite it. By the second day, Lena couldn't walk down the hall without someone stopping her, thanking her, hugging her. Crying, it overwhelmed her. She smiled politely, said little. At home that night, she sat alone on her couch. Weeks passed. The hospital returned to its rhythms, carts rolling, monitors chiming, lives breaking and mending in small, ordinary ways. The news trucks disappeared. Headlines moved on. Public attention faded the way it always did, but something had changed, not loudly, not visibly. Lena felt it in the way people paused when she entered a room, in the way conversations softened around her, in the way patients held her hand just a little longer. She still worked nights, still wore plain scrubs, still avoided attention, but invisibility no longer clung to her the same way. One night she found Maya sitting alone at the nurse's station, staring at a chart without reading it. You okay? Lena asked. Maya shook her head. I keep thinking about how close it was, she said. If you hadn't been there. Lena sat beside her. But I was, she said simply. Maya looked at her. That's what scares me, she admitted. Not everyone gets a Lena. Lena thought about that. She thought about the countless nights she hadn't been there in other places, other times, and the people who didn't get saved. You don't need a Lena, she said. You just need someone who stays when things get hard. Maya nodded slowly. I want to be that kind of nurse, she said. Lena smiled. Later that night, Lena checked on a patient recovering from surgery. A teenage boy, nervous, awake. You're safe here, Lena said as she adjusted his IV. He looked at her. Are you the nurse from the news? She hesitated. Yes, she said. He swallowed. My mom says heroes don't look like the movies, he said. She says they look like people who don't leave. Lena felt something tighten behind her eyes. She's right, Lena said. She turned off the light and closed the door softly behind her. In the quiet hallway, Lena leaned against the wall for a moment longer than usual. She breathed, and then she moved on. On her next day off, Lena drove farther than she usually did, past the city, past the noise. She stopped at a small, quiet cemetery bordered by trees that whispered in the wind. She walked slowly, hands in her coat pockets, until she found the stone she was looking for. Her mother's name. She knelt. I'm okay, Lena said softly, though no one could hear her. She told her mother about the hospital, about the night, about the people who lived. She didn't mention the gunman. Some stories didn't need retelling. I think I finally figured out who I am, she said after a long pause. The wind stirred the grass. For years, Lena had lived between identities: soldier, civilian, healer, survivor. That night in the hospital hadn't brought the war back. It had shown her she no longer needed to run from it. She wasn't a ranger pretending to be a nurse. And she wasn't a nurse hiding from her past. She was both, and that was okay. When she stood to leave, she felt lighter, not because the weight was gone, but because she was carrying it honestly now. Back at home, Lena packed away the last of her old military items, not in anger, not in fear, but with respect. She didn't erase that part of her. She thanked it. Then she closed the box and placed it high on the shelf. That night she slept without dreams for the first time in years. Another winter night, another quiet shift. Lena walked the halls of Mercy Hollow Hospital, the lights low, the air calm. Patients slept, machines hummed, life continued. At the nurse's station, she paused just as she always did and scanned the ward. Exits, doors, people, everything where it should be. A new nurse sat nearby, nervous hands gripping a clipboard. "First week?" Lena asked. The nurse nodded. "I'm scared I'll mess up," she admitted. Lena smiled gently. "You will," she said. "We all do." The nurse looked alarmed. "But you'll fix it," Lena continued. "Because you care." That settled her. As Lena walked away, she passed the plaque on the wall. "To those who stand watch when the world sleeps." She stopped, touched it once, not as a hero, not as a soldier, but as a woman who had chosen again and again to stay present in the dark. Some nights danger arrives loudly, other nights it never comes at all, but someone still has to be ready. Someone still has to stand between fear and the vulnerable. That night, nurse, she kept walking, because tomorrow someone else would need her calm, and she would be there. Some heroes don't wear uniforms, some don't want to be seen. They stand watch quietly, doing what's right when no one's looking. If this story moved you, subscribe, like, and press the bell icon so you don't miss the next one.